All right. All right. Good afternoon, traders. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and welcome to the crypto webinar series continuation here today with Sam at CryptoLifer. Crypto webinar series continuation. We are, well, Sam's going to go over order flow patterns in Bookmap with the new liquidation indicator, how he reads the crypto markets, and uses Bookmap and order flow together with his trading strategies. If you don't know who Sam is, you can you go to his website and his YouTube page. He has a lot of followers, and basically through a detailed study of technical analysis in the cryptocurrency markets, Sam learned how to become profitable, which has allowed him to trade full time. Since then, he's decided to devote his life to helping others achieve the same freedom he's achieved through crypto trading. Here is his website and his YouTube page. I'll be putting this into the chat for you guys so that you don't have to copy this down or anything like that. I need to go through some disclosures and a special, and then we'll turn it right over to Sam and let him take it away. So the general disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so just a few more things here. Some special offers for everybody. Anyone who's first time user of Bookmap, 30% off code here for the first month subscription, for any monthly subscription. So it's good until June 13th. Here's the code: Crypto Series 30% off when you subscribe. I'll put this into the chat for you as well, so you can you'll have the code. Also, join our Discord room, and we're going to raffle off every webinar here 1 month of free Global Plus. So if you haven't won already, you can enter today. It is only during the webinar, so I encourage you to jump into our Discord chat room in the hashtag special events room, then type in CWS to enter. Okay, and then I'll put this link in here as well, so that you guys can click on that and go directly to the room instead of copying it down. All right, so that's all I have for you now. Let's turn it over to Sam and let CryptoLifer take it away.
Thank you so much, Bruce. I really appreciate it. As I said before, I don't affiliate with a lot of companies, but I really like Bookmap and what they're doing. And I also like the family. Bruce has been there a long time, I think since they started. So they have a good family, good group of people, and they just really care about their product and who they work with. And so I only want to work with people like that. So I just want to make that clear, that I really like the people over at Bookmap, and I don't affiliate with many people. So we're looking at, when people see this, they get a little overwhelmed at first. I remember when I post this, beginners are like, what am I seeing? Like, what is going on? And they're kind of a little freaked out. Like, they're not sure what's happening. But like, we all know what red means. It means a sell. We know what green means. It needs a buy. Okay. And so what I'm doing here is I have my traditional TA on the background, and then I'm watching how the order book plays in. Now, you have to understand that it's the snake biting its tail. Years ago, a guy watched price action get hit and maybe a whale sold. That became a resistance. And over time, that line kind of gets staying power. If that line keeps getting revisited by any asset, it becomes a known place of liquidity. So therefore, a market maker or someone that sets up an algo, he'll set it up and he'll have his algo pointing for these certain areas, right? So right off the bat, I'm doing support and resistance on my own chart. And that's simple. You're just putting lines where you see price started and stopped. Those were definitely liquidations. When that got up right there, why did the price stop from going up? Because shorts probably got stopped out, they bought back in, and then eventually they got as many shorts as they could, and they exhausted the liquidity. The cool thing about this is right now you can just see, oh, we got rejected by support or resistance. But if you flip over to Bookmap, it's a completely different story altogether. You flip over to Bookmap and you can see, oh, they got liquidated. That's what happened. Someone got banged. Someone was trying to, over leverage themselves, and they got into a tight situation and they got taken out by the exchange, by the market makers. So what's cool is they just added this. And when I zoom in here, I can actually see the amount of events and what happened. For instance, like, let's see here. Here we have 3,997 $997 US, right? And that was 8 events. The cool thing is too, they have some cool settings here. You can go in here and you can click it to base currency. If you wanted to say like half a Bitcoin, you could flip this to 0.5 and you could see just how many people got liquidated for half a Bitcoin. You know, you could also flip the base currency and do 5,000 if you don't want to see all the liquidations. Today, they've been lighter. If there's a heavy liquidation period, maybe I'll edge that up. But right now, today's been pretty good. I've been seeing kind of what's been going on. For instance, I knew here that we were in this rising wedge, okay? Rising wedges break up only 32% of the time. Most of the time, they're going to break down, okay? Specifically, if the stochastics get to this oversold region. The stochastics work in tandem with the metrics of trading. They'll almost tell you when people are about to get liquidated because they go hand in hand. Once you get above this dotted line, you should go over to Bookmap and you should see people getting liquidated. If you don't, then there's a chance there's more shorts atop and this will get pinned. Bookmap has also been teaching me how to use the RSI better, and I'll explain why. Before I had Bookmap, I would watch the RSI get up here and I'd be like, okay, we're oversold. I'm going to get ready for a short. But then, this happened last week and everyone lines up for the short because they, some people know these basic indicators. And what happens? And you're like, that's not supposed to happen. However, I looked at Bookmap and see the lack of liquidations in that period and then maybe see a drawdown with some liquidity, I would have been able to see that maybe they're going to be able to push us back to the upside, right? Normally, I would have just opened a short. This is teaching me that there may be more liquidations to occur whenever we get pinned. However, look, another thing, it goes the other way. This is probability. There's 68% chance this rising wedge is hitting resistance. Also, if you use your support and resistance, you can see we had a liquidity grab here. That was probably a short liquidation event. I can go back and see these same places on the chart if I have enough data. And there you can start building history with Bookmap too. And you can start being like, yep, liquidation. And you can start, instead of just knowing numbers and, you can see the analytics. You can see the story behind what actually happened on the chart. I find that fascinating. If you're a trader and you don't want more data, let me stop there. You start small. As a trader, it's very similar to playing chess, I tell everybody. A good chess player is better at chess because he does it a lot. And if he does it a lot, he's good at keeping a lot of moves in his head. That's really what it comes down to. He knows the pieces, he gets acclimated with the pieces, and then he slowly gets better at remembering a lot of the different things that he needs to remember so he can use them on the fly. So he can take advantage of them. Same thing in trading. At first, fine, RSI, and you spend like a couple weeks on it. The problem with this is too, all these indicators take like a month to really get like a bearing on because you need to see price action, interpolate it, and then you need to backtest it to get that data. If you're not doing that, so too many people are watching one YouTuber like me or a couple, and they're like, oh, I know what the RSI is. It's up and down. I go one, but like you don't know that indicator yet. It takes time to know any one of these. I've spent thousands of hours with the MACD, thousands of hours with the RSI, thousands of hours with the Stokes. I've done it live. Like you've seen me in my life doing it. Thank God I love it. I'm addicted to it, whatever it is that makes me want to do this so much. But it's the mathematical movement of time. It's the zooming into the smaller time frames. It's the zooming out. So right now here, you can see that we have sellers selling off. So we should see a liquidation point, which we got right there. And we should see the sellers getting off. They got as much liquidity up here as they could. Not enough shorts wanted to short this. What's good about this is, and that's another thing, if you're a beginner, people think the bulls pump the price and the bears always short, but you don't realize it actually doesn't always work that way. What actually happens is when Bitcoin first started to dump, like we'll have to look for some more liquidity back here. I did have a power outage before this, so I had to which is sad. My Bookmap was running. But for instance, and then you can also see divergences in here, but the point of the story is people probably started to short down here and they've been shorting for a while. So you have to assume that there's stop losses here and people get greedy, don't they? They don't take their money. Some people forget. Some people open trades and just don't manage them properly. There's shorts up here that didn't get closed. There's people that didn't take their profits right here. And the market maker's like, you know what? I'm going to go and fish for those. And I'm going to grab that liquidity. I'm going to grab those order books of people with their stop losses. Remember, if I want 500 Bitcoin, 300 Bitcoin, I don't just waltz in and go and press the buy button. I'm going to push the price up immediately. Then I'm going to buy into myself. It's not really going to work that well. I need to create liquidation events for my bags to fill. This will start making way more sense to you once you really start, playing with Bookmap every day and juxtaposing it with the price action. Because subtle things will fill in that you're not even realizing, and you'll start picking up on stuff. The more data you give the brain is an amazing smart tool. The more data you give the brain, as long as it's slow and formatted, like you can't shove, it's like it's like a blender. You don't want to shove all the ingredients in the blender at once. You want to put one in at a time, watch how they mold, watch how they melt, take a taste, and then you want to add as you go. A lot of my students, they benefit from taking it slow. Everyone wants to know it all. It doesn't work like that, you know? Funny, look, I'm Sammy Cup and Handy. Isn't that a cup? Isn't that a handle? Didn't it break out? You can see actual patterns in here. Here's the rising wedge that we're talking about. And that is that line of resistance. So as I start to build, see, this is that same line of resistance there. That was in there because we're on a smaller time frame. The cool thing about Bookmap 2 is it gives you like the 1 second time frame. I'm being able to watch price action in real time, exactly as it's formatted. Now let's zoom down in here and let's look at overall Bookmap. I'm still learning. So I'm still a beginner with Bookmap. I'm not trying to say I'm an advanced person, but I know I understand order books and I understand support and resistance. So like I kind of know Bookmap without knowing it. You know, I know a lot about what it's doing and what it's grabbing. But I never like to call myself an expert at anything. Beginner's mind, beginner's mind. Keep reiterating that you're a beginner. Therefore, you'll always realize there's more to learn and you won't get, conceited about what you know. And you'll be able to find, the second you think you know it all, that's when you start to lose trades. That's when you think you got it. Trading is a constant motion. You could trade for 10 years and then you could have a 2-month period where you just can't hit a trade. Every trader goes through a rut period, a time where it just doesn't seem to fit. It's about if you have proper risk management, you get through those times. If you don't, you get wrecked and you don't trade anymore. I could disappear in the next few years if I don't keep myself disciplined. All right. And I tell everybody, I work out every day. I drink water. I don't drink alcohol. I quit it completely. I don't touch it. I haven't had a sip in a year and a half. And even before then and I don't mean to preach, but trading is mentality, getting a good night's sleep, knowing how you feel about yourself. All those things come into play when you're trading. Okay. So I just want to bring in some, I didn't start becoming a better trader till I started cleaning up my life. I'll make that pretty clear too. So look, now we're getting liquidations right here. That's telling us we could be getting a bounce. I look at that and then what I will do is I'll juxtapose that with the 7-minute Stokes. If the 7-minute Stokes, they're coming down, tells me that we're probably going to liquidate some more people. Looks like we're coming down even more. Okay. Another cool thing to do is look at this glob is just bigger than that glob, like period. So there's more liquidity here than there, So if you were a mountain climber and you wanted to climb the tallest mountain, you would climb the green one, right? So I'm not saying we're guaranteed to do anything too, and that's what people don't realize. None of this is exactly what's going to happen, and there's no guarantees when using Bookmap or any of these. It's all probability, and that's why you need to use them for a long period of time so you can gain the data that they're giving you. Without watching this and the price action, to me, I'm making what I think are assumed moves, but I don't have a lot of probability behind them because I don't have time in the market to gauge that probability. A lot of everyone's like for instance, I look at charts and a lot of times I see hidden bullish, and in my mind I'm like, man, that breaks out 90% of the time. Now I really don't say some of that, but in my mind I'm like, I've seen that break out. So like I become my own metric, and I know what I've seen. I've put in the years and years in the charts. You can't tell me now what you think unless you've put in the same amount of time. And I'll know because I'll sit with you and I'll start looking at how you go over charts. And a charter knows when someone's put in the work. It's a beautiful thing. Like you can't fake being an analyst. You either have those years and you can show it off or you don't, and you can know your support and resistance all you want. You can know your fibs. Time in the market. So right here, we're leveling off, right? But we do see this big order right here. I'd like to see them come and snatch that, And my TA also suggests that we should be coming back down to the bottom of this pattern. It's just likely, unless we're getting really tight in this channel, which is possible, and we're starting to make it just even more of a tighter channel. How you'll know that? Go to the 5-minute. The 5-minute should be low and pinning. It's not. That tells you we may have either sideways or downward action coming. So it opens me up. Had the 5-minute been right here on the Stokes, likely you were at the bottom of the pattern. You see that? And I use stochastics with pattern trading. I try to find the pattern before everybody else. Like I'm quick to look for the pattern. Yeah, the other night, if you were watching my live stream, Bitcoin took this nasty dump and we found this. And again, they call me Sammy Cup and Handy because I happen to see things in my vision. I have like lifer vision, they say, right? But I saw this as a cup, clear as day. And I saw this as a handle, clear as day.
Hey, Sam, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think you selected just the Bookmap app to
That's
display.
Horrible, right? Yeah, so it's not letting me show that's horrible. So much hasn't been shown. Let me see here. Yeah, it's making me like pick Thank you for saying that, because people, there's so much to get out of this that they're not getting. Um, uh, Let me see here. I'll figure it out.
So
Hit
you
screen.
might have to kind of rebroadcast your screen again.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop for a second. I'm gonna come again, and it lets me pick it, but then it does, it lets me pick tabs. Like
Can you
it's only
pick?
letting me.
Can you pick? No. So go to the there's a tab on when you
You're right. You're right. It
and
said
go to
applications
screen.
and screens, and I
Yeah.
didn't see that. So sorry.
No
Uh,
worries, no worries. We got it though, so that ought to help.
All right,
There you go.
everybody.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
gonna I'm gonna run you back real quick, and I can kind of get us up to speed pretty fast. Point of the stories are, right? We look at Bookmap. What we were looking at, here, let me zoom back in where we were. We're looking at this rising wedge, okay? You can see. You can also see it's a bit of a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. And you want it to basically not break this support line now, because you can see you're getting some consolidation here. You want that bounce. Now I look at that area. What is that area? That's 30,250. All right. And again, I would like us to not break this bottom trend. That would be beautiful. However, I know the 7 minute pretty well in the 5. And when they're curving like that, usually you do dump, you know? So it's rare that we won't see this breakout. It's 80% of the time the Stokes will push you down, but it doesn't mean it will. We could get a bounce. All right. Point of the story is I'm watching and what is happening. These are like I showed you before, these wicks were the liquidations on Bookmap. Okay. These are the shorts who got stopped out. All right. Who probably had been shorting since down here. And again, some of them may not be idiots. Some of them may be really smart people that started a short right here, got into profit, lowered their stop. And they were okay with getting stopped out there. They were into profit. They were like, come, take my liquidity. I've done what I needed to do. And they were just trying to, that's also a smart way to trade a lot of times, because you never know if you can get more. I like the idea of once you get something, just backing up what you have. No one ever went broke taking profits. All right. A lot of people went broke hodling. The longer you get into the game, I think the more panic selling, paper hands, and hodling become more of like the gimmick given to the new class of traders. They want you to hold and not panic sell, so that I can basically sell all my bags on you while you keep buying the bottoms. The time to sell was when Bitcoin hit the highs, the pi cycle chart had topped. We saw Phantom on the weekly chart at the highest it was. We saw waves at the highest it was. Like, I use the weekly chart a lot. It's pretty simple. You accumulate when the weekly's below the dotted line, and you sell when you're above the dotted line. Now, you're not always going to be 110%, but what you will be doing is you'll be getting the range bound areas that are just going to be so much beneficial. I even zoom out even more. I use the 2-week. I've been accumulating Bitcoin in the 2-week chart for 5 years now. It's never been a bad idea. I wait for the 2-week to get down here, and I allocate, like, let's say $5,000. And I don't put the $5,000 at once. I'm putting in 100, 200, 400, 300, and I just sit there for 2 months. And I don't, it might be more than $5,000. I'm just trying to throw figures out there, but I allocate what I want first. It's all about planning and trading. I say, I'm going to allocate this much to dollar cost when Bitcoin hits a low. Like, Bitcoin's up here, and I'm like, and I got the bank account, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, we're high on the 2-week. I'm like, when that 2-week comes down, and I write down how I'm going to put 20,000 into BTC and get myself, hopefully almost a whole Bitcoin. When we get down here, buying a little bit, buying a little bit, buying a little bit. Last few days, I bought more. Now we could go to 10K and 7K. That's fine. That's why I don't go all in, and I'll have more of the bag to go. What if we bounce up and we make a move, and then we find that 40K is a support? Then I go there too. And there's certain areas that we'll be looking at. But as long as I use this, and then I use the Crypto Fear and Greed Index in conjunction with that, all right, it really helps out. Zooming back into Bookmap, I just wanted to give you, because everyone's all about day trading, swing trading. I've made the majority of my money on long-term holds and planning out my trades properly. It's still a trade to me. Everyone seems to think a long-term trade is, or I'm an investor, I'm not a trader. Hogwash. Everyone's a trader. Your investors are just people who trade 10 years. It's just a 10-year trade to me. To me, it is still a trade. There's no difference. Are you going to die with that stock in your hand? Maybe you will, and give it to your kids. Eventually, someone's going to sell it and end that trade. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, that trade will end. It's not an indefinite. You never know. Some people do hold, GE for, centuries, and they get the dividends to their kids. I mean, there are some companies that last. Little cool trick. GE's getting some hydrogen patents. They may end up becoming one of the bigger companies in the next 10 years. Just a little tip for you. Something you might think about, you want to research, because hydrogen, I think, is going to become a source of energy. It's not going to be solar like everyone thinks and electricity. Hydrogen is going to become a powerful force. You saw that Bill Gates is building that gigantic new ship. It runs on hydrogen. Like, I don't know, just off topic tip, but that's just something interesting. I've been looking at GE. So looking at this, right? So liquidation. The more liquidations we get, the more apt we're hitting a bottom area and we're going to bounce. And so I'm getting to the point now that I have the liquidation tool that I don't really want to enter a trade till I see people get liquidated, because I know that's where I want to be in. That it's pretty smart money. You want to wait for the people to get wrecked before you begin to get in. So this can help. Once you see the liquidations, it can give you a little more confidence to be like, you know what? Like if you wanted to open a short later and you saw that rising wedge, and again, the short would have been the top of this channel. Let me zoom in again, 15. So sorry that we didn't have the pattern at first. Apologize for that. But if we look here on the 15, you could see like we got to this high point. And, if you're a leverage trader and you're using the 1 minute for quick money, that dipped here. My stochastics got high. My signal told me that we were at a high point and that we were at the top of the channel and the stochastics were high. MACD was running out of room and the sellers the buyers were really kind of running off there too. You have rising price with falling volume. That's not a good idea. So when you juxtapose volume and price action, and you can see that the volume's falling while price action is rising, that's what's called a divergence. Okay, it's telling you if price goes up, what does that mean? It means people buy. All right. If the buyers are represented by this level and this level keeps going down, then how can we keep going up? It's logic. I love this because a lot of people think that trading doesn't have some logic to it, but it does. It has some carpentry, some 2 + 2 is 4 type stuff in it. And I combine a lot of the complex statistical analyst with a lot of the brass tack stuff. My dad was an iron worker. My grandfather was a bricklayer. Like, I'm Irish and I come from that type of stock. If you're going to the upside and this is going to the downside, how can you continue up? How? Also this starts to give me what the pattern is. And now I realize that this is the top trend line. And that also lets me know that resistance is 30,500. 350 actually into 500 area. It's like 350 to the 5. It's always a bit of a range, but we're getting rejected pretty solidly at 30,350. I run back over to Bookmap. All right. I want to see a bounce here. I want to see a big buy order after these people get liquidated. Kind of like this. See, again, that short I just showed you, right when you saw that large liquidation, might have been a good time to take the short, right? In conjunction with my other. So no one's slapping up Bookmap and making buys and sells on it. Ridiculous, as we said before, and in the disclaimer at the beginning of the video, nothing is taken as guarantees. None of this is, you don't buy and sell on this stuff. This is just data for you to learn. And again, you need to supplement it with time in the market. This stuff will mean nothing to you if you don't put in the work, period. You won't be able to take, and even if you make a few good trades and you think you're a hot shot, over time, your probability rate will fall. And, if you just like buy, liquidations and sell liquidations. As you can see, it has a probability that's better than doing nothing, but you should wrap it with some other, with another strategy. Okay. Look, we're getting the liquidations here now. All right. I want to see more of those now because I want to see this come to the bottom of my channel, which I'm at. And we're actually at the bottom of the channel. So here's the deal. This falls through. We get way more liquidations. As I said before, now I'm looking to see if there's bigger orders down here that will kind of make this make sense. I want to see that where I believe my chart is going to go, and I want to see that there's liquidity to feed that same idea. These two things really have to go hand in hand because if it's not there, then we can't go there on the chart, right? If there was no liquidity right here and this wasn't red and you see all up here, then how the heck were we going to go down there? It just wouldn't make any sense. All right. People don't realize that it is the snake biting its tail. This is creating the pattern. The pattern is then created. But you can trade the pattern because the pattern conveys probabilities without you having to know the order book. This is what confuses beginners, but that's why I tell you, take it one step at a time. I traded for 4 or 5 years till I got into liquidity and order books. I was just watching Coinbase and I was looking at the depth wall and watching it go back and forth. That's kind of was my first entry to order book and understanding. It also helped you to make a better order. You can see where you might be able to slide in for a cheaper price. So now this tool is so cool. Look, when we zoom in here now, we have 11,000 events, five events for 11,000. Okay. These are people who longed right here and thought they were sweet. And they knew what they were doing. They're probably on the 1 minute, 5 minute chart. They're trading very, very small with a lot of money and they're getting chopped up. Okay. Again, look, this is a shoulder, a head and a bit of a shoulder. That could also then, coincide with the idea that we will go to this lower liquidity area. because that measured move is here, and that will bring us back down to about 30,200. Now you got psychological support at 30,000. That's all, your base points, right? 29.5, 30,000. We don't want to really go to 30,000 because this morning I feel like we breached this trend line, and now we're like, I want us to stay in, and I got a lot of lines here, but what I want us to do, what I would like to see by the chart, right, is to not have this break. See, it's breaking now. See that? And that was very likely, People love my channel. They love watching me because, like, when I say that's probably going to drop, there's a high probability because they watch me every single day, and over time they get to, or not me even. They watch the same. I just point out the oscillators. I point out that most of the time you're going to get a drop here, and I'm online every day, so people see most of the time it drops. Just by watching my channel alone, you will learn how TA plays out. Now, I was already alive for 2 hours today. I'm going to be alive for another 45 minutes on ATB. And today I do a weekly screen share, a private one with my entire private Discord. So if you want to jump into that, there's links to my Discord. It's $99 a month. Bang, you would have access to the weekly screen share. We go over Bookmap there too. We do a lot. It's similar to what we're doing here, where we do more in-depth analysis, and we try to take you through mentality. Anyone can kind of like shoot charts at you like I do on the live, but on these weekly screen shares, it's basically like we all get together, and I can feel all your energies wanting to learn. And because it's a different type of setting, I even have a lot of epiphanies during the weekly screen share. I'll be looking at big charts. I'll see things that I didn't notice before. It tends to be a really channeled event for me personally. And yeah. So more liquidations coming. To me, it suggests that we will see it. The measured move now, most rising wedges will make it all the way back to their bottom. All right. Now, that won't be the worst thing in the world. It could present us with a double bottom. And honestly, this is like the third time I'm presenting this. If you watched me on Around the Blockchain on Thursday of last week, I remember, if I can find it right here, we were in like a falling wedge. I think it was right around, yes, it was this one. We were in this falling wedge here. And it was the same scenario. And we were doing this, and I said, well, there's a chance we break down. And then I grabbed my marker tool, and I was like, and we'll probably, if we can hold liquidity. And then every single shape has a measured move. This has the length of the pole to the end of the W. You swing that to your middle section, and that's basically where you should start to bail out. That's also resistance at the last place. You'll also see people getting liquidated when you're in that trade at the top. Like, you'll see shorts getting smashed. Probably tell you that it's time to open. It's time to open up a short because we're at the tip of the liquidity. The kid ate all the ice cream in the cone. Like it's done. And so when this came back down, and then we formed this, and then I saw like an inverted, and then we formed a flag. This was also a cup with a handle there, blasted out, right? And you can see how I find my little patterns, and I kind of figure out my way. And so I'm seeing a similar thing here, but in just a micro version of it. A lot of times I see micro and macro. I see something on a big scale that then plays out a week later on a small scale. And again, and at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed. Right now we're getting wicked up. Maybe we don't go. Maybe we don't go all the way to the measured move. Maybe we stay in the pattern, right? And how you'll know by that is, are we getting a lot of liquidations? I want to see a lot of liquidations. If we get them, we are. See that? That's a big chunk. And another thing I'm realizing, I just had epiphany, Bruce. I'm just getting used to watching the liquidations, right? That's a lot. Like, look, today we saw that. We're seeing dots. That's a lot. That's a lot more than we saw. That's another common sense idea. Do you see 10? Did you normally see 4 or 5 squares? Now you see 15. Well, you may be entering into the liquidity zone. It may be a good place to get into a bounce. Again, none of this is guaranteed. It just gives you a higher probability of looking at it. Anything you want to add, Bruce? How are we doing here? I want to make sure that
you're doing just great. And I love the way that you're mentioning this liquidation indicator as a confluence with the other patterns in bigger picture, because it is telling you something, but it's not like a signal. But it's telling you a lot, and that's precisely right. And it's just fact here too. There were just a lot of liquidations. So are there more below?
Fact. I use the word a lot. Probability, right? Here in Bookmap, we can see fact. That happened. It's not, what? And being able to know what actually happened, I think is, right? It gives you a little more of an edge. If we bounce from here, it won't be a coincidence. You see what I'm saying? You don't, it doesn't mean you have to get liquidations to bounce, but your bigger bounces are going to come from a liquidation area. It's just, that's, because again, the market's controlled by the market maker and the exchange maker and the money makers, and they got to fill big bags. Once you start understanding how they have to operate, it makes way more sense what's going on here, because you're like, yeah, it's black or white, They can't step up in the middle of liquidity and just grab anything they want. They need to get people to get stopped out. They need to have these events. This is how they're able to fill large bags. For them just to swing trade today, they need to get more thousands of people to get rocked. Another reason why I don't leverage trade, even though this is a great tool for leverage traders, that's actually not true. I do leverage trade. I do 3x, but I just don't do above 3x. And I use tokens. Like I try to use the, derivative tokens like on KuCoin, 3L and 3S, or a Bitcoin up and down on Binance. They're pegged. I'm in them for 10 to, I don't hold them for months at a time. And I got into leverage trading. I actually had a really good way of doing it. I had a leverage trading boot camp a year ago. I got really good at finding divergences on the 1 minute. I would basically find divergences and inverted head and shoulders on the 1 minute. I would wait for the secondary divergence to come. I would actually trap it. I would get in. I would nail like a 0.5% to 1%. I'd get out. I would use moving averages. I would notice how price would move through the moving averages. I had this awesome, I'll show you real quick. I don't like it's my skills can be used to trade leverage, but I just don't like to teach people how you can use them that way, because I want people to learn the beginner. I want you to get so advanced that when you're ready to trade leverage, you do it on your own. You don't do it with my push, because that's how it should be. You should learn from me, and then when you're ready, you go on, I have a testimony in my group, and the guy said, he went to a lot of other people. We won't say who they are, and he clicked on the links, and he was a beginner, and next thing you know, he's leverage trading because they're telling him that's what they're doing, so he thinks that's the right thing to do. He doesn't know. He's on YouTube, and in turn, he loses, his first 10, 15 trades. I took $100 and I turned it into $700. It took me 36 hours. And I learned that like you have to be on leverage. Like the second you open a leverage trade, you're in it. You're in it, man. Like a spot trade, I can get in and I can like set my stop losses and set some alerts, and then I can go like walk my dog or something, or I don't have a dog, but me and my daughter can go outside and play. I would like a dog. But the idea is this: you can get away for a second. Leverage trading, you really can't. Like, I'm sorry. Like if you want to really do it, it's an all day process. You're in there. And the second you see a move, you got to take it. And if you don't, I tell you, I traded the leverage, and then I did it a few other times. I kept putting $100 in. 3 times I got liquidated. Why? I just fell asleep at my computer. I was trading unbelievably well. I was doing well, but fell asleep. And when I had that mark to take it, I remember I just couldn't. And then I found my life was going to be me staring at these screens, battling. And I was like, this is unhealthy. I'm not going to be the father I need to be. I'm not going to be the trader guru. I'm not going to be able to help my students. I'm not going to be able to run a course at all. And I'm not going to really, and then I'm going to be emotionally kind of disparaged for myself. I found it wasn't for me. You may find you love the 1 minute and that 5x leverage is amazing and you're good at it. I'm not trying to take anyone's stream fire away. I just want to say, kind of what makes me tick a little bit. And again, and then you could say I got a little lucky too. Like a lot of my small investments got big. So like I never had that yearning to leverage trade. Like, I was like, wow, you can make $2,000 into $100,000 without, like, why do you even, you could do it on spot. Why do you need to leverage trade it? Bitcoin alone made me a good amount of money. I dollar cost averaged in between, I found out about it when it was 500 and I DCA'd between, $1,800 and $2,700 when I really knew what it was. And the rest is history. Like, so, and that's not even an altcoin. Everyone wants these huge gains and everyone's about the greed. And it's like, you can have a good life. You don't have to have it all. My dad always said, like, find yourself in the happy medium. My dad always said that. He would say, see those big mansions out there? He's like, they're empty 10 months out of the year. He's like, the people that own them don't even get to use them like they would. They have 10 houses. They're in, it's like there's a balance to how much money you can make and how much happiness you can have, and I'm trying to find that balance every day, right? And trading can vex you a little bit because you want to make that move. You want to change your life. And then you see other traders posting big gains and it makes you feel like you need to do the same. And I think people get kind of caught up in that, right? You can see I am not leverage trading and I'm using Bookmap beautifully. It's helping me. It actually calmed me down right here. I would have been more, the old me without Bookmap would have been like, oh my God, like they're breaking that's going down. But when I saw these liquidations, I just said, you know what, that's a flat line for a second. I think we're holding that channel and we are now, and I'm not saying I'm guaranteed a second this could dump, but there's a probability now in my favor that what I was looking at is working. You see? And if you remember at the beginning of the day, I talked about being at the bottom of this channel and it was likely we would work our way to the top. And we did. 30,000. Wasn't a lot of movement there and this is how Bitcoin's getting ready for a giant move. Bitcoin doesn't coil up like this regularly. Look, Bitcoin was up here, down here, up here, down here, up here. It's getting ready. You're going to see one of my thumbnails come out. You know, when I say 24 to 36 hours, big move coming for Bitcoin, right? How do I know that? And then you see a big move comes. You're like, how did he know that? Why did he make his thumbnail like that? Because when Bitcoin gets wedged like this and gets tight and starts to coil, it's going to make a bigger move. You know, this is a bit of a symmetrical triangle in my mind. Let me just duplicate this and make it real neat for everybody. But this is a symmetrical triangle in my mind. Okay. And look, the liquidations did so far. Now we want to see some buy orders. We want to see some buy orders. The order book thinned out a little bit. You see that? Just a little bit, not enough. We still got this guy down here with about 758 Bitcoins at 29,000. And it could be. Now, Bruce, is that always one guy, or is that a multitude of orders?
It's both. You know, typically larger players are holding the majority, but it's anybody basically.
Whoever's in that bunch.
Yeah, we do have a large lot tracker that will show like you know, how many are at that level as well. And if I'm looking at it, hold on just a minute. Yeah, the majority is one individual player that's holding that down.
Amazing. Lucky guy, man. So look, I just try to simplify this too, because I know I got a lot of lines, and so I take away my moving averages just for whoever's, I know a beginner just wants to see things really neat. At the end of the day, you'd be surprised how well patterns do play out in conjunction with the order book, though. It's kind of like a weird, and it's funny, order book guys probably wouldn't believe it as much, and then I wouldn't believe order book guys as much. But now that I've combined the two worlds, I know a little bit about both, and I can see the combination of confluence, you know? But here, I gotta, you know, if I respect this trend and I don't hit that one, that's a symmetrical triangle. These break out 50-50. And all you got to do is take the base. And Bitcoin's getting tight, and it's going to coil up. And you can also say, like, this is part of this bigger triangle too. See? You got two things cooking here, you know, and you're going into a wedge, and you're getting tighter and tighter. The tighter Bitcoin goes, look, there was a tightness there. Look how tight Bitcoin got. It made an explosive move, you know? So again, here, Bitcoin got tight, and it doesn't mean it's going up or down. It means it's going some way. But look how tight, boom, tight, boom. The tighter it gets, the more explosive the move, everybody. The more wedged you get in there, the more likely you're going to see a massive move, either up or down. Sad thing about this is, this pattern to me is a symmetrical triangle. Honestly, everyone too, this stuff is awesome because look, you can just watch trading patterns. A lot of people don't realize they can get started today by just using Google. Man, Google has taught me so much. I built a walkway. I taught myself guitar songs. But look, the symmetrical triangle taught me. I wouldn't be here. Google and YouTube made the CryptoLifer. You know, the ability to access information at your fingertips can let you follow any dream you have. Like, we are in such a blessed time of technology. Everyone's trying to build these bad pictures, right? World Economic Forum, all these ups and downs. At the end of the day, your ability to project your dreams has never been easier in the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right now, who knows how many people are seeing us throughout the world. Yesterday, during the live stream this morning, we said, where are you from? We got people all like Sri Lanka, Nigeria, Netherlands. Like, it was just, I mean, you know, I could be doing this as a teacher, and I could just be teaching in my local area like 20, 50 years ago, and I would have been considered a success, I guess. But like, I mean, technology has really changed the game. But look, symmetrical triangle. This is a bilateral pattern. You could find this on Google. It's not even that difficult to know the probability of what would happen tonight, you know? And you say, well, what do I have for that? I mean, I have a 50-50 shot. That's why these patterns aren't the best. It is getting a little tight. I almost want to like shave it and if I bring it down here, it's almost a bull pennant, I have to say. If I connect this, that's a bull pennant. See, like, you go here and you look at the shape again, and you kind of have to say, you know, it looks more like a bull pennant than a chubby triangle, right? You'll get better at this over time, and this is what I teach my students. So then you take your measured move, which usually is the length of the pole. In the stock market, I'm always taking just the length of the triangle. In the crypto world, and in a really good bull run, I'm taking the whole length of the pole. And I've even seen Bitcoin like to get the juicy move out of the algo. So I'm going to take this whole length and not just the base of the triangle. That's something that I've tested over time and found that sits right with me. You'd have to kind of feel that too as well. A lot of things come to you as a trader through doing. A lot of my students want me to answer like perfect questions to them. Like, when you do see this and see that, do you do that? And I'm like, well, I don't know what I do. I was like, I do it when I see it. Like, it comes to a point where I make that decision at that time based on all the other pieces of information that I've acquired over time, right? So it's likely Bitcoin gets here to this resistance point. And again, when we look at this, this has been our high range. And we're going to get back to Bookmap in a second because I want to show you what we're going to look at, what we want to look at for Bookmap to kind of like bring this whole story together, right? So this is going to be our high resistance range, okay? This is, and then what I love to do is you can just right click and you can clone. Never clone alone. It's just a joke I have, but just don't clone alone. So check this out. You have your resistance and you have your base here. Now you're in the mid-range. This is mid-range. And you can see how we have this mid-range liquidity. Another really good tool here is to come on down here and grab your VPVR mixed profile range. This is going to come in conjunction with Bookmap. These are going to work hand in hand, and they're going to give you points of control where you see a lot of support and resistance. Look, this line here is giving you where we bounced because there was a lot of buy and sell orders here. This order here is giving you where we bounced. When I see the gray area blocked out, I can see a gap up. When there's a lot of space that came up or down, it's telling me that once we breach this resistance and maybe bounce it, we're going to make a nice move to the upside. This is also encouraging the idea that if I see Bitcoin break out of this, we're going to see this bounce and a fast move to this area, into this area of liquidity. I'm going to notice it happen here on Bookmap as well, right? Now what I want to see is I want to see some liquidations, but I don't want to see as many as I see here. I want to see a bit of a double bottom. You get it? Or I wanted to see them go all the way and fill this guy and get him out of there. Once he's out of there, I'd be more apt to that. It's almost like the monster under the bed. Like, we want him gone. Like, we want to see him get his fill. Then that will give us a better feeling that we'll get up. Doesn't guarantee he's getting filled. That could stay there. It could be a spoof order. It could be an order that gets pushed, that gets pulled and pushed. There's no guarantees what's happening in trading. All right. I just want to keep reiterating that. It's all based on probability. However, you get so much better at it when you've seen more of it. Okay. So this is kind of what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. And if we get that liquidation, right, he's at 29,008. Lo and behold, is that this area right here, 29,700. Yeah, and that's right. Look, this is your liquidity zone because you see a lot of chop in here. So that's why this guy knows his TA. These guys aren't going to just post up. So he sees this as a range. And so he's got a bunch of orders in here because he's thinking, look, resistance there, here. And if this, and look, I'll show you an SR flip that occurred. Once you see an SR flip to the left, and this is support and resistance, you had resistance here because you fell through, then you had resistance here. But then you got above it, you bounced. You went all the way out. When you fell through it again, resistance. If you were watching my channel, I think it was 2 nights ago, I did this live. I drew a cup and handle right here, and I called the pump. And the pump actually happened live on the channel. It was amazing. It was euphoric. I basically drew this cup and handle in the 1 minute. It was one of the funniest things I've ever done because it's like real time TA and like it's happening while we're talking about it. And I was like in a great mood on a Saturday night. And I was just like, Sammy, cup and handy, just feeling the love, feeling the vibes. And again, most people wouldn't see this as a cup and handle and they'd say yes, but I've backtested so many of these wacky things in my life. And again, nothing can take away my time in the market. I had a 68% chance this was breaking out. Everyone else in the market could have told me I was crazy. I don't care what other people think. I've put my time in. I've drawn 1,000 of these and saw them break out 800 times. So you can't tell me, you get it? And that's what the beauty of putting time in the market is. Go watch 100 YouTubers, go listen to somebody. You'll know in your heart how you feel about the situation. We watched this play out live at Bang. It was amazing, Anyway, so this area created a double bottom, and we flipped up Bookmap. I can't bring it up now because I don't have that history, but we did see a nice liquidation there, and then that's where we kind of got the order book filled, and then boom. And we called that bottom that night, which is pretty cool, Another cool trick, when you see Bitcoin starting to dump, zoom into the 5 and the 1 minute chart. They're going to show you the double bottoms that you're not going to see on the other time frames, and they're going to show you when the bleeding stops. It's almost like if you see a cut and it's bleeding and you got to stop the bleeding, like doctors like stitching and they got to like zoom in, make the stitch right. Not the best analogy, and I'm sorry to bring up blood, but there are blood in the street some days. And the idea behind it is when the market's dumping fast, you have to use smaller time frames to track it because it's moving so quick. Like a 5-minute candle will close in 5 minutes and you won't even see, but a 1 minute candle will show you the bear flag that got printed in 5 minutes. You get it? Because it's quicker in time, you need to shrink into smaller time frames. And that's kind of like that's an interesting concept of like space and time. That's why I love trading too. It teaches me about like the environment I live in. not just trading alone. It fascinates me about this universe, the metrics, how we live in this Fibonacci zoned area, like how I'm made up of Fibonacci's, my arm and my leg and my hands and my body, and how flowers grow in the golden ratio. And I really feel like trading made me more connected, if that makes any, in a way, to this whole world we live in. I find it fascinating. And then the human emotion aspect, and I can see people getting liquidated and you got in, you got out, and I can see the emotions on the chart. There's a story in all these charts. People like to sell up here, liquidated real fast, and too many people leverage trade and they took them down. Like same thing here, too many people thought we were going up long and they all said, this is it, Bitcoin, huge move. They get so euphoric when Bitcoin makes a big move that they get to take advantage of them because emotions take advantage of you. Everyone's been in love, right? Have you ever done something for someone that you maybe wouldn't have done, but you were in love? Like, okay, when they get you to fall in love with price action in a coin or you think something's going on, it's a similar type of emotion and you believe things are going to happen for you. It's good for you. They get you sucked in and they leave you high and dry, all right? That's why you got to learn and come to these Bookmap, these studies, these webinars. I encourage you to get to know Bruce and join his Discord. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in the space. He's given me hours of his time already. He's dedicated education to me. He's helped me. And that's another reason why I'll continue to associate and affiliate with Bookmap, okay? Because they're just they have integrity and they're a group of people that I like to be around. And they've proven that to me. Bruce is amazing. I'm sorry to, call you. I don't know if he's turning red right now, but Bruce, man, you've been awesome. You've been awesome. What a great person to work with and to meet. I'm really happy that I got to meet you.
Likewise, Sam. Thank you.
So now we're seeing the liquidations not as strong as before. Maybe telling me we may not be able to push down. We're kind of flat. We're kind of like in waiting now. The market may be waiting to see what everyone else is going to do. He wants to see how many people want to jump in or out, or maybe not enough people are doing anything, and the market's just kind of, this is a flat move here, and you can see it just, what I liked about it was the 15-minute has to reset. My trading style is about creating projections. I project before these things happen, okay? So like once this 15-minute got high, the trader that thinks they know everything would be like, oh, rising wedge, it's dropping 68%. And that's actually not the worst thing to do. Like if you just posted at every rising wedge you ever saw and you traded it to the downside, you'd probably end up a profitable trader because 68% of the time you'd hit it. Like you would hit this one. You would hit like this kind of one here. You would hit this one. These were all trades to the downside. Some people do that. Some people only short rising wedges. Like they pick one pattern and they get good at one thing. I can teach you with my strategies. There's 100 strategies to be taken out of all the things I teach. You might learn from me and decide, you know what? I just love, I'm the other way. I love the falling wedge. Like I've probably traded it more than any other pattern in my life because I know I get 1, 2, by the third touch, I look for divergence and I get paid. And that doesn't say it happens every single time, but about 70% of the time it does. And so I take that percentage. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to get the measured move every time, but I get out when the Stokes turn on me. Another thing, I'm teaching students and people that are watching me, they're always like, I got into the trade, but I didn't, I waited to the measured move. And I tell everyone, you don't wait for the measured move. You wait for the Stokes to turn. The Stokes might turn up here. They might turn down there. I'm a Stoke guy. When the Stokes tell me it's a wrap, and you can backtest this stuff, it's amazing. Above the dotted line, we came down. 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 Like the next time we get above the dotted line, do you want to open up a long? Now, it may be the one liquidation point where the liquidations get pinned and fine, but that's 1 out of 20. The problem is with me too, with students is they might learn what I just taught them. Then they'll open up, then they'll open a short here and the price will bump and they'll be like, it didn't happen like Lifer said, and it's like, well, that was the 1 out of 50 times that, there are going to be probabilities. The thing is to show up every day, I actually made a funny metaphor the other day about a plant. You buy a plant and you live in an area and you look at the weather and they say 68% of the time it's going to be beautifully and sunny for that plant. And you're like, okay. And they tell you if the plant gets 68% of sun 60% of the time, it's going to live. So you're like, great. So that plant will live if you keep it outside. But if you put it outside one day and then bring it back in, then bring it outside and bring it back in and bring it outside, you're not going to hit the 68. You're going to miss. And so the problem with trading is you need to be consistent. The problem was people use too much money at the beginning. They lose it all and they can't be consistent. You use small amounts till you understand what's going on. Look at all the things I understand right now about support and resistance, trading wedges. I spent a lot of money figuring this out. Okay, believe you me. Thank God Bitcoin took care of me in the bull markets of crypto. But I did spend money figuring this out. I lost $13,000 trading Gevo, stock that was supposed to fly planes on plant oil. It was great. I didn't know about buy the rumor, sell the news back then. 10 years ago, I'm 28. Thought I was a hot shot. I buy Gevo when they fly to Alaskan Airlines. I think it's the best thing. And then what happens? I buy it at 120. It goes to 40, 50, 60. I DCA. One day it gets to 88 and I'm back at even. And I have a voice from God. He's like, you're back at even, Sam. It's been 5 months. Get out. This was the long time. I've been trading for a long time. This is a good story. And I'm like, yeah, it'll come back. And I goes back down, never gets back to 80 again. I end up closing it at $13,000 loss. That was in my whole life though, I have hodled a lot. And I'm not going to tell you, you're going to find this yourself. 80 to 90% of the things that I held did come back and actually paid me. I bought Litecoin once in that 14 run up when we went to 14K. I got excited. I thought, wow, this is the end of the bull run. What? So I buy Litecoin at like 120 and I buy like $7,000 of it. It goes to freaking $20. I was down 6K. I held it for 3 years. When it went back to 250 the other time, I just sold it off and I made $3,000 or something. It took me 4 years, but I didn't take the beat down. That doesn't always happen. I don't want you to take that as like, but I'm just telling you some real stories that I've been through as a trader. I didn't win every time. I wasn't always awesome. Like, it took me years of getting my butt kicked in the market. I also didn't have beautiful people like Bruce teaching me Bookmap, and I didn't have the support that I have now. I have such a different, support system around me, and it's such a different group of people, and I know so much more than I used to. Time in the market, my friends. Time in the market. You get nothing out of this universe without giving it something. Mike Tyson became great because he did it all day. Tom Brady became great because he did it every day. Kobe Bryant, I just watched a video about him the other day. He said, I woke up at 4 a.m. and did extra workouts because that way, when everyone did 3 workouts a day, I did 4. He's like, that was 2 extra hours that none of the NBA players were getting. And I knew it because I'd ask around, what's your workout? And I'd hear them end. And then I'd be like, all right, and I'd pencil in an extra 2 hours. Every single day, he got 2 more hours. By the end of a month, he had, 60 hours more, right? 30 days in a month. And that compiles over time. In a year, it's 600 more hours. And in 10 years, it's 6,000 more hours. And then, is it a coincidence that he was one of the greatest basketball players? No, he worked so hard to get there. Trading is the same way, okay? Everything in this world, you have to do it every day to become good at it. If you want to be the best, if you want to become great at it, okay? You can't dabble and become great at anything. Look, we are bouncing here. Less liquidations than here. I'm having an epiphany. This is something I just came up with, actually, but it's making sense to me because if you slam that many people here and then you can only slam that many people, you got 28,000 on 20 events. Here you got 14,000 on 8 events. It's telling me less people are in the game now, right? They're starting to kind of chew through them. Doesn't mean they can't come down and get lower. I'm still worried about this guy down here, And again, I don't trade I don't go, okay, he's down there. I'm definitely going to short. That's guaranteed to happen. No. I keep working inside of my parameters. This is a really good sign that this rising wedge decided it wasn't going to take the beat down. And now it's at the bottom again. The fact that candle turned green gives me a high probability this will not dump, at least on this run. It tells me we have one more run to the upside, which is pretty good. Okay. What does that tell me? I now know the 7-minute stochastics is probably near the dotted line. It is. How did I know that? Because of how I use Bookmap and stochastics in conjunction with each other. And I just know things about how patterns work with stochastic. I can tell when I'm at the bottom of the pattern, the 7 minutes low. Like when I said that, I went there, there was a split second it wouldn't be, but I knew like 99% I was going to be right because I know these charts like the back of my hand. I can prove it in these webinars, how well I know them. And look, shoulder, head, shoulder, we possibly making a slanted, uptrended, inverted head and shoulder. There's a chance here. Okay. Yeah, I think we're about to hit the 1 hour. I don't know how much longer we go, but like this was awesome for me. I learned a lot about Bookmap because I never had a time to like sit alone and just do this really like in this manner and really think about what I was teaching you guys and what I was saying. So you helped me put my thoughts in perspective. This was really therapeutic for me. I learned a lot. I really did.
No, fantastic. Really great stuff, Sam. I mean, yeah, you see some divergences right there with the liquidations.
Yep.
Just like you were saying, it made a lower low, but it didn't hit as many people. All right. Let's see if it can reverse and come back around and start to hit some people on the other side.
Yep. And there's my channel that I drew. You can kind of see the channel. You see that, and that is this channel on the 1 minute. You'll see. See that, like up and down? That's this right here. That's this key hit and that move up. And so I know now, like I can see what I'm like. I'm in that pocket, you know. See this little wave right there? That's this little wave, like right here, you know. And that liquidation was this point, you know, these points here on the bottom of my trend line, which kept me in the game. Thank God for those people leverage trading, because I just realized they're the ones that kept my pattern whole. So funny. Like, you taught me so much, Bruce. Like, and it's now really coming into play. Like, I'm getting it. I'm starting to get it more, you know?
Yeah, that's funny. But the beauty of this, like I had kind of mentioned before, that I really appreciate about a Bookmap and an indicator like this is just fact. This is what happened. People got liquidated, so you know, the interpretation is up to the trader, but we're displaying something very objective.
Yeah, exactly. I love what you said. Like, these, we don't know any facts here, really, right? We just know, like, I like what Bruce is saying. Like, it rained and made a puddle. Like, we saw the rain hit the puddle. Like, there's no speculation here. This is what happened. This is what, and if you have a bunch of bricks, you can build a brick house, right? If you have mud, you build a mud. Like, you can't build, you know, I don't know if you get my metaphor, though. My mind moves pretty fast. But the idea is that, we can't go up if we don't have the liquidity. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's no liquidity up here, then we can't go up there. Like, this will kind of show you what is possible. It's basically like the roads of Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin can't take the road if it's not kind of, you know, if it can't gravitate towards that area. So the liquidity is important to see, because it'll kind of verify what I'm seeing on my charts, you know, and just back it up a little bit with real-time buys and sells that I can actually see that occurred.
Yeah.
One thing, 30% off coupon for any new monthly subscription for the first month. Good until June 13th, right? Is that, and then
Yes.
Win a free month of Global Plus. One winner for each crypto webinar. Join the Bookmap Discord, special events room, and type CWS to enter. You have to do that during the webinar, correct? Like during this actual webinar? Or
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone, I mean, get that free month of a Bookmap, and then, you know, get associated with it and understand it. Could start making you money, and then it pays for itself, you know?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. Everybody, if you're interested in Bookmap, just go to bookmap.com, and I put the coupon code in the chat there for you multiple times. I've also put, if you're new to Sam, I've put his links in here multiple times as well. You've got his website, you've got his YouTube channel, and you also have that Discord room where you can type in CWS in the special events room there, and try to get win a subscription for the first month for free.
All right, everybody, take advantage of the links while you can, and they're great. They're a great company to work with. So yeah, I have nothing good things to say about Bookmap.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sam. Really appreciate it. This is our first time having you, and it was quite a pleasure.
Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Everyone that supports me and my dreams, I just can't believe it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys, and good luck to Bookmap. May all the glories of business come your way.
All right. Thank you again, Sam, and we'll catch up another time.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.